Justice Jackson explored questions about presidential elections. Sadly, these questions showed her general ignorance about the Constitution and how the president is actually elected.
Can I ask you one final thing about the amicus brief from the Society for the Rule of Law Institute? Because I found it very interesting, and I didn't really know what your view of it was. That amicus brief focused on the Electoral College and Congress's setting it up, back in 1787, with the understanding that the casting of votes can happen on a particular day, and the receipt of those votes by election officials can happen on a different day.
First of all, Congress did not set up the Electoral College. That is nothing but a made-up term, generally used to mislead people about how presidents are elected. There is no Electoral College. At best, you could say we have 51 electoral colleges, one for each of the 50 states plus the District of Columbia. See, the presidential electors meet in their own states to cast their votes.
And in fact, the way the Electoral College is set up, I think at the time, Congress permitted in 1792 about a month to elapse between the casting of votes, which, by the way, it called Election Day, and the receipt of the votes by the electors submitted them to the President of the Senate up to a month after.
Again, Justice Jackson shows just how little she's aware of how we elect a president. First of all, Congress did not set this scheme up. The Constitution did, along with the different times for the different elections that are part of choosing a president. The Congress may determine the time of choosing the electors and the day on which they shall give their votes, which day shall be the same throughout the United States. Election Day is the day of choosing electors, as established by federal law. The electors of president and vice president shall be appointed in each state on election day in accordance with the laws of the state enacted prior to the election. The day established for those electors to give their votes is established by federal law, in compliance with the Constitution. The electors of president and vice president of each state shall meet and give their votes on the first Tuesday after the second Wednesday in December next following their appointment at such place in each state in accordance with the laws of the state enacted prior to election day. Now, these laws have nothing to do with people voting. The fact that the states appoint electors based on a popular vote within their state is a matter of state law, not federal or constitutional. Granted, Justice Jackson was trying to compare the difference between the casting of a ballot and its receipt in the Constitution and federal law with the law in Mississippi, but I don't think it worked, since those delays are written into the Constitution. Electors shall meet in their respective states and vote by ballot for president and vice president, and they shall make distinct lists of all persons voted for as president and of all persons voted for as vice president, and the number of votes for each, which list they shall sign and certify and transmit sealed to the seat of the government of the United States, directed to the President of the Senate. This to me is just one more example of why the 9 people in this country most in need of a reading comprehension program are the justices of the Supreme Court.